Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Review Realm. Thanks for joining us today. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe button. Really help out the show. You catch us on YouTube, or if you're on the go, we're also on most streaming platforms now. Definitely Spotify. Links are in the description below. So today is a big one for us. Our first sit-down interview ever. We're here with somebody I met just 20 years ago.
Is it really 20 years ago?
Yeah,
Actually,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Did I just make us sound really old?
Yeah, so I think I was like 12.
Yeah, and I was
This
like 15 or
summer
something like
camp.
that. Yeah, so sorry, I just aged us a lot there. Yeah, so met a long time ago. Born and raised New England R&B and hip hop artist whose sound has been evolving over the years. So we're going to talk about her journey, her artistry, and her recent album, Lost Connections. Please welcome Nel Fuoco. What's going on?
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
No, thanks for doing this. You're one of one right now.
Thank you.
We've never done this before. So.
Yeah, happy to be the first. Yeah.
Yeah, this will be good.
We're here in my office too, which is so nice to be asked about my project in like my personal space. So yeah, I'm super excited.
No, this is cozy. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot to talk about here. So I was out of the loop on what you were doing like the last like few years or so or whatever, and I was scrolling through Instagram a few months ago, and it was like the people you may know. I was looking at it, and I was like, wait, who's this? And then I see Nel Fuoco, and I'm like, oh my God, I know her. And I was surprised, and not because like I didn't think you were like incapable. You've always been really talented, I think. So what I was surprised with was the musical direction that you went. Because again, I 20 years ago, it was feels like a lifetime ago.
Right.
But you've always been really big on music and everything like that. So I think what I wanted to ask right off the bat is when and how did Nel Fuoco like come to be?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Nel Fuoco is like a couple of different things wrapped into one. So before I was really doing all the music stuff, I always, as you know, I have a background in music. So I was studying classical music in high school and then later on in college. But after I graduated, I was focusing more on, getting a job, professional life, but I was teaching pole dancing on the side, which was, super fun.
Nice.
It's a passion of mine. Yeah. I love to, empower people, specifically, especially women. There's a lot of women that come to my classes. So yeah, it was a big part of my life. So I was doing that like creatively. And so I had to like come up with a brand for that like wasn't my real name. And so like the whole like Nel Fuoco in Italian means in the fire. So Nel is a shortening of my, real name. And then Fuoco just means fire, which, I'll tell you actually the real story. So I was going by in the clubs, I was going by Mariah because I'm a huge Mariah Carey fan.
Oh, that's, yep.
Always been. So for years I was Mariah. And so there was this one bouncer there, Ty, who is a good friend of mine still. He's very sweet. Yep. And he would always go, Mariah, you on fire? Like the old ODB song.
Yep.
So people would be like, Mariah Fire, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, I want it to be like that, but obviously a departure from that because they're not the same person, you know what I mean? But I'm always going to be like, and I'm a Leo too, so like fire signs stuff. I was really like leaning into like Fuego vibes. So yeah, that's how Nel Fuoco became a thing. It was just my like pole instructor identity on Instagram. And then I started making music. So that kind of happened randomly. I was just like always writing poems because I'd always like be in my feelings and in my phone writing them down. But it wasn't until I met a producer, DJ Jeff, who, thank God I met him because he really got me into like recording. So I had never really recorded that much before, like once or twice a little bit many years ago. And that's how I got into recording. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just keep the name Nel Fuoco.
Yeah, I figured it was Italian because of like your background with it too. And I also thought too, I said, well, her real name I feel like flows in there too somehow.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Right. So it's like personal to me and also kind of represents like all these other identities. So if you know, now you know. but
Now we
most
know.
people don't know. Yeah, it's a good question.
Nice, nice. So you mentioned to me when we were setting this up that a lot of people bring up to you, we have a problem. And so there's a lot happening in the world right now, and there's I think the song speaks to it a lot. So what was going through your mind when you made it, and like what did you want people to like take away from it? And were you surprised that like because I think you had put out like a bunch of singles up until you released that one too. So were you surprised by how much it blew up?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you had mentioned, I had put out a few singles, and I had made like good quality music videos for them too, put them on YouTube, but like I wasn't really like
Yeah.
heavily promoting myself. I was just like, this is my hobby and I'm putting my music out and it's good, it's healing for me and it's a great experience. But then to answer your first question, like where was I at when I made the song? I was definitely like angry, right?
Yeah.
But I had mentioned this first before when it first came out that I had been listening to this song called I Don't Know by Antoine Davis and TFB Breezy, who are like local people. That song had just come out, and for whatever reason, like that phrase "why you mad" was in the song. I forget exactly how they say it, but they say it a couple times. So in my head, like that song was playing, and I was like, "Why are you mad?" And I was like, "Why am I mad?" Like I am mad about a lot of things because I had been working as a dancer for many years,
Yeah.
and I had been just as a femme presenting person in the world, like dealing with a lot of BS, right? And then this was probably like September or October before the elections actually happened.
Yep.
But I was writing my frustrations, but I was kind of talking about the political thing at the same time, knowing that I had a feeling that he was going to get reelected. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I didn't write it after the election. I actually was writing these emotions like before, and then actually took me a long time, like over a month, to like write the whole thing because I had a very specific message at the time when I first wrote the first bars, because that's really where it came from.
Yeah.
Was those first bars, like some silly, like the answer to my question, why was I mad, is like people have this view about sex workers that's like very negative, but we're living in a society where there is like a sex commodity and a market what we all play into in just the modern dating world, whether you want to call it that or not. So I was frustrated at people's sort of anger and hatred and discrimination that sex workers face when I would see like girls promoting like soft life, get a sugar daddy, like only date him if he's rich. You know what I mean? I'm like, so, all right, okay, so never mind. So is true love really dead? That was like questions I was asking myself. But then as we got closer and closer to the election, I started shaping the song, and I was like really pointing out how capitalism and the patriarchy isn't just affecting me and sex workers, it's affecting like everybody, So yeah, that's what I was going through at the time. And then your other question was, did I think it would have the reaction that it had?
Yeah, I think, were you surprised by how much it blew up? As I saw like 14,000 streams on Spotify, more than that, on like view wise on Instagram, stuff like that. Were you surprised by how much it blew up?
Yeah, so like I had posted it, and I'll tell the whole story. Is I had written it, and then I kind of sat on it for a while. I didn't like do anything with it. I actually went to Feral G at 222 AM Co. We recorded it. That was the first song that we worked on together. We worked on 2 songs. We Have a Problem. So obviously like very different genre. It's rap. It's like very like political. It's very conscious. And then we did Detox, which is off the album, which, believe it or not, is connected because it talks a lot about like just like unhealthy, toxic behaviors that a lot of people exhibit in this fucked up dating world, right? Anyway, so we go there, I record it. He was like, I really fuck with the lyrics. This is good. We hadn't worked together before either. So it's like his first introduction to me is those 2 songs, which are very different. And so, but he liked the song, he fucked with it. And I was like, okay, let's finish it up. And then January was the inauguration. I was like, still sitting on it because I'm still fighting this urge even now to like not hesitate. And at that time I was like, this is kind of like a weird, crazy song. I don't know if I want to put it out. But I was like, now or never, right? So I had recorded it, but I hadn't released it. And I was like, I want to post a little clip. So I went to my girl's house. She lived over in the east side of Providence. It was like around this time of year. It was actually, I think the anniversary, what day is it today? The 15th?
Was it 17th?
17th?
January? Yeah.
So I think it was January 20th of last year is when I dropped it. So we were hanging out. It's like snowy. I was like, I just need to take a quick clip of this song. And she hadn't heard the song before either. So I was like, I'm going to be like reciting it to her.
Yeah.
I'm going to be performing this and reciting it to her. And she's going to be hearing it for the first time. So I was like, I'm going to try not to laugh. You know what I mean? Because the first line is like, why are you mad about prostitution? You're buying sushi, so she'll suck you off. So anyway, we're walking down the street and my phone was on like 5% battery. I was like, just grab a clip real quick. And then we grabbed it. I posted it the next day. I forget how many views I had the next day, but it was like the most most I had ever gotten in any time. Like got shared a bunch of times. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then like a couple days later, all the hate comments start rolling in, and that pushes the algorithm even more. And it just like all of a sudden it was like 500,000 views in like a couple of weeks. And I was like, this is crazy. A bunch of people have seen this thing that was like living in my drafts of my phone for so long, you know, months and months, you know.
We're kind of in that age where I feel like negativity gets more views and like stuff like that than positivity, I think. So, but it also, because you said you dropped it on the 20th.
Around the 20th, I think that clip came out.
That's inauguration day, like every 4 years. So so like you dropped that like at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was definitely, I was like, it's either now or never, because I missed November, and I feel like I gotta put it out. And at that time, like you had mentioned, like I kind of wasn't, you know, nothing of mine had blown up or anything yet. Like, so I had 500 followers on Instagram. They were mostly all people that I knew in the scene, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it was like 5,000, 10,000. And I just reached 40,000 yesterday, which was kind of crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Good for you.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just weird now. Everyone knows.
Notoriety.
Yeah. Somebody came to my door yesterday. I got DoorDash, and he was like, "Are you Nel Fuoco?"
No
and I was
shit,
like,
really?
Yeah, I am. Now he knows where I live.
That's cool and scary.
Cool and scary. Yeah, especially like, you know, woman in the world type situation. But it was somebody from the scene, so we actually followed each other on Instagram. Like, he's also an artist, so that it wasn't like some random guy. It was someone who's involved in music. But still, I was like, damn, you know.
Oh, cool.
It's not the first time it's happened. I was like riding down the road a few months ago, and I have tinted windows on my car. I had a hoodie on. My windows were up. It was dark. I was like middle of the night, like 11 p.m. And I'm driving, and this guy rolled down his window on the passenger side, which is like the most tinted side because you can't have as much tint on the regular side, on the driver's side. And he was like, "I love your rap." I was like, "Cool, thank you." It was very strange.
That's cool. You're getting recognized. Yeah.
A little scary, but it's cool.
Nice. All right, so let's talk about Lost Connection really quick. So the review realm, we like to go like track by track as much as we can.
Cool.
Most of the time. So we'll get into it. But before we dive into it, this was your first album. For those that don't know what goes into something like that, even as much as into music I'm in, that's like a part of it that like I don't know super well. I've never sat in a recording studio. Like bands I follow, like know a little bit about what's going on, but like what's the process of making what's the process of making an album look like for you, like start to finish? Like how was that as an experience?
Yeah, so I feel like this experience is probably going to have been a lot different than how I approach them in the future, because I wasn't planning on making an album. I was just like making songs. So a lot of the songs on this album in particular were written way before We Have a Problem came out, and before I was like playing shows and stuff. That's why a lot of them are very personal and intimate, and like they were really cathartic for me to make, you know. But I was sitting on them, and a lot of them had very similar vibes and themes, and I was like, look, I have all this unreleased music, and it all kind of goes together. It's all talking about all the same things. It's personal in my life. Like, I want to tell a story, so that's what I'm going to do. So it came down to like having a few tracks that were already done and deciding like what part of the story that they told, and then what was like still untold, and then I had planned already to record because I still had songs that were written that I hadn't recorded yet. And there was a process of like also removing things, unfortunately, because a lot of people don't know how the whole legal process works and your rights when it comes to leasing music. So there's a lot of misconceptions about that, which fortunately, I was going to say unfortunately, but fortunately through this process, I was able to learn. So when you are first writing music and you have a song written in your phone or in your notebook, you might go on YouTube. Especially if you're not really an instrumentalist, you might just go and just get one of those free beats off YouTube. It says free for profit, right? And it says you can use this beat as long as you don't post it and make money off of it. I'm like, cool, I'm not gonna make money off my music, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I started writing these songs to these beats that you can buy the rights to, but oftentimes these producers are offering a low rate lease deal. It'll be like $100 or $200, and you can have, all the purposes of the beat. You write the song, you can put it on Spotify and all the other stores, you can make a music video, you can play it on the radio stations, everything. But what people fail to read in those leases is the time. So a lot of these unlimited leases that you're buying for $200, it's still a lease. It's still limited amount of time. So a lot of them would be like, okay, I bought the lease, I'm good to go, I'm gonna put it on the album. Well, the lease is only good for 10 years. So do you want there to be an issue 10 years from now where you have to take it down from all the digital stores because something happened with it? And I don't know what the landscape of, like, especially with all these leasing deals, what it's going to look like 10 years down the road. Maybe the producers won't care because there's going to be so much AI music that, like, who can even keep track of, like, what's truly theirs anymore. But I just wanted to make sure that I did everything the right way. So there were songs that I wanted to put on the album that were written, one in particular that I unfortunately couldn't include because I never got the exclusive for it. And the exclusive was sold to somebody else. The other thing too is these exclusives are like, if you're getting them from somebody you don't know off YouTube, the internet, then you get emotionally attached to the song that you wrote to that beat. So you're like, I could remake the beat, but it's never going to be the same. You want to go with that original beat. It's like anywhere from $400 or $500 to like over $1,000 to get the exclusive rights to that beat, which makes sense because these producers need to get paid. So I understand, like, let's say I spend a lot of time on a beat and a lot of people want it. As a producer, from a business perspective, I would want a bunch of people to be able to have access to use that beat and give them a limited lease, because then I have, income always coming in and people are always using my beats and learning about me and stuff like that. But at the same time, you got to get paid. So if someone's going to be the only person who can use that beat, they have to pay a price for it. So that's what happened with Detox. Was I wrote this song, I was in love with it. I was like, there's no way I can remake this beat, which is also, you run into copyright issues, right? Because what if they can prove that you wrote it based on that beat? Did you copy my beat with your beats the same? You know what I mean? It's the whole thing. So I was like, fuck it. I really love this song because this was like, Detox to me is like the hit off the album. So, and everyone loves it. So I was like, I need this on the album. So I paid a hefty price to a very nice gentleman in North Carolina. His name is A Crew, goes by Crew Beats. But so now, from now on, one of the people asked me, what did you learn the most about making this album? I learned a lot of things about writing music, but what I learned the most was the music business part of it. And if you're going to be using beats that you're not making yourself, pair up with a producer or a team of producers that you know and like and trust. They know and like and trust you, and they'll give you a good deal, and you're helping build their brand. They're helping you build your brand and your music, and you create a deal that works for both of you. They get paid. They're not going to charge you as much because you're going to continue to come back to them and work with them, build that relationship. That was a long answer to your question.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
No, I didn't know it worked like that either with like beats and stuff. Like, so it's not like the same like royalty free where somebody just drops something.
I mean, I'm sure there's things that you can use on the internet.
But at the same time too, like somebody that creates something, they should be like compensated for it in some way. So that's interesting because I didn't know it worked like that. Yeah,
or you could do what some people do and you can just use the beat and not pay for it. What happens if it blows up? Well, then you're going to get sued, and you don't want to run into any issues. And I don't want to ever run into any issues with my music getting taken down or me losing money. And I would rather support producers that I can work with, and you get a better like quality sound that way. You get more organic sound that way, But for practicing and for writing, which is that's what this album was about, was me like learning how to write songs. I had written songs before when I was younger, but like this was me sharpening my skills. I did utilize like the resources that are free and available to everybody on the internet.
So listening to the album as a whole, for me, like for me, like I'm like a metal guy. Like that's like but I listen to all sorts of stuff. So for this was very different for me, but my mindset was, I think for me, the fact that I personally know somebody that's creating this music, it really draws my interest to it more. Honestly, I really liked the vibe of it, and I feel like there's a real sense of melancholy to this. I feel like there's this emotional darkness in there that kind of ties everything together. Do you feel like that's the energy that the album like conveys?
Definitely. And I
Yeah.
tried to demonstrate that too with like the cover art and the choice of
Yeah.
like how I'm marketing it and just the vibes when I'm posting content and stuff.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be acknowledging the range, the spectrum of emotions in the human experience, you know, which a lot of it is sad, you know, but we'll talk more about that, I think, as each of the songs come up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, I felt like that, like mostly throughout. Like Love Me Online, I really liked the line. This is probably my favorite line in the album. All these comments and likes, but you'll never find the likes of me.
Oh, I'm glad you like that.
I liked that one. So a lot of these songs, like, and I wrote this for most of them, but are these like from past experiences that you've had? Like, I feel like Love Me Online, I feel like, well, especially like this, like the disaster that is dating apps.
That's exactly
I
what
think
it is.
that.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to open with that one because
Yeah.
I think it kind of sets the tone for like what is this album really going to be about? Because each of the songs is more about my personal life,
Yeah.
and they are about specific situations and events and things
Interesting.
that happen to me. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that. But with Love Me Online, yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to the feeling of like, okay, like I see everyone that's out there. We're all so connected on social media, and I'm talking to people online all the time,
Yeah.
but I'm still like feeling very lonely, and I think a lot of people feel that way.
A lot of people feel that way, especially with technology now. Like everything's like very accessible, like, but yet at the same time, like you feel lonely. And that, no, I feel that like 100%.
Yeah, there's like a disconnect, and that's what the whole like the plug is with the on the album art.
Yeah.
Like I always use the plug emoji like when I'm talking about it, like what?
Yeah.
Because I think people think I'm talking about like a drug dealer or something, like the plug, but like that's not. It's supposed to, there. It's like it's symbolic, right? So I'm like, I want to unplug, I want to disconnect,
Yeah.
but I want to stay connected because I want to be connected with people. But the more connected I am to the internet, the less connected I am to reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You brought up Detox. And with Detox, I felt like, you know, not like actual detox, like from like drugs or whatever, but it kind of like, it represented like a detox from love, maybe a past relationship. Because like we've all had that, like relationship ends and then you have that period, you know, without the person you were with for so long. It is essentially a detox and a withdrawal.
Yes.
Pretty much. So
It's
that's what I took from
true.
it.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought that up because
Yeah.
in the song, like the character or myself or whatever, like I'm present in the relationship. Like I'm talking
Yeah.
about how I'm in the relationship, but I want to leave because I know that it's bad for me, but I can't stop. And it's a metaphor, like the
Yeah.
relationship's like a metaphor, right? But it's like you're anticipating that healing is going to be painful. So you're kind
Yeah.
of putting it off. You know, I'd rather be in pain and be like in this situation where I'm like feeling alive, because that's like I think how,
Yep.
or maybe numbing certain things and like avoiding. Because for me, I think a lot of times like relationships that I've been in, it's like, am I avoiding working on myself by putting all this energy into somebody else?
Yeah.
And the thought of working on yourself is daunting. So
Yes.
you're like putting that off. And in the thought of being alone is also daunting. So you're like, I'm gonna just delay that as long as possible, even if it's bad for me. Just
Yeah.
like going to rehab would be like, I know I need to do this, but I really just want one more day. You
Yeah.
know?
Just like pulling the trigger on it
Yeah.
is the tough part of it. Yep.
For anyone who's curious, like I tried to make like a little plan for myself. So when I was making the
Yeah.
album to stay organized, because at a certain
Oh,
point
cool.
I felt really overwhelmed with the tracks that I had.
Yeah.
So because originally I think it was like 11 or 12, and then I wanted to add also the voice notes. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna make a cover. It's just printer paper, and then each one is the name of the song, and I'm still using this too because it has notes for like visualizers for the future.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, what's this song about? What are the major themes? What are like the colors that I kind of want to associate with this? And you notice a lot of the colors are like blue and like yellow and green
Yeah.
because like that's the vibes of like it reminds me of like a security camera or like the text on a computer screen. It's like kind of sad and scary, but it's also got this like omnipotent like looming technology that's in the background. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's love in the context of like the modern age. But yeah, this is how I stayed organized
No, that's
throughout the
cool.
process. I'll put it down here.
The voice notes, yeah, I was gonna ask you about those. So those are those actual voice notes
Those
you
are
received?
real
Yeah.
voice notes that I received from real people.
Yep.
And I asked their permission to use them. So, but I wanted them to, of course, remain anonymous.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of like the first one sets this kind of
They're
like
different they're
romantic
different
vibe.
messages, yeah.
Yeah, and the second one's more silly. Yeah. So,
Yep.
what questions did you have for me about those?
Mostly just I was wondering if I figured they were
Mm-hmm.
actual voice notes that you
Mm-hmm.
received, and I feel like you were going for a difference in the tone
Mm-hmm.
between the two.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
how guys shoot their shot. Here's two examples.
Yeah.
Real life examples because it's love me online, right? So these are voice notes that I received like on Instagram or whatever, like as a voice note. So that's like to me representative of like how it's a part of how we all communicate now.
Yeah.
So I thought it was cool to like include
Yeah.
like a real experience. So you can all. It was like I saw it, so you have to see it too. I heard it, so you have to hear
Yeah.
it too. Yeah.
I like when artists do that. Sometimes it's not like, I mean, it's a track, but it's like a piece that goes into another one. So like the first one goes into Detox, and then the last one I think goes into
Brand new D.
Brand New D. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Desert Moon. So this is the one I had the hardest time interpreting. Like, what was it about?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that it's vague.
Really? Yeah. Well, I was like, what's
what do you
happening
think?
there?
What do you think it's about?
I don't know. But I liked the guitar solo at the end
Yeah, shout out
with
Dylan
it.
Titus.
That was cool.
Yeah, we wrote that
Um,
together. I basically was like, hey, I want to get this like vibe of where it's like Middle Eastern, but
yeah.
so yes, but he wrote the guitar solo, we wrote it together, and he just did a great job with it. So shout out Dylan Titus over at the Proving Ground.
Nice.
Yeah. I'll tell you the story, I guess, without incriminating myself. Okay, so this was
All right.
so
Oh, incriminate? Okay.
no. All right. So anyway, the
Yeah.
album was written over the course of like 2.5 years. And I
Mhm.
started really writing these songs like after I had gone through a pretty intense breakup. I
Yeah.
had been with this guy for like the better half of my 20s, my second half of my 20s. So
Yeah.
it was like 5 years together almost. And we lived together. It was like a whole thing. So it was like, a big deal when we broke up. And we had this plan to go to Italy together. We had like tickets booked and everything, but we broke up quite a few months before the departure date. And I was working in travel at the time or right before that. So I was like pretty familiar with like, especially having worked during COVID, like, airlines policies and stuff like that. And I was like, look, like I'll cancel your flights. I'll cancel whatever I can for you, but you're only going to get a partial refund. So it's like, I felt like I was at work,
Yeah.
like, just so you know, you're only going to get a partial refund. He was like,
Yeah.
that's fine, whatever. So I refunded his ticket, but I didn't refund mine. I was like, I think I was still gonna go. So I had a really great like eat, pray, love experience. I met a lot of really great people, and some of the people that I meet, I kind of like reference in the music. So it's a lot of it's like me trying to find myself in the world. That's also like a major theme in this time when I could stay at home and I could connect with the world online, but I'm gonna go out and try to meet people like in person. So I went to Italy, I went to France, I went to Iceland, I went to Morocco. Like I did a big for my 30th birthday, I did like a big trip. So
Yeah.
I went to Morocco and I was only there for 3 days, which if you are a woman traveling alone in Morocco, that's plenty of time. And maybe don't go back by yourself, like have a friend with you. Because especially my first time going there, like that was pretty adventurous for me. But I was prepared because legally you don't have to, if you're a tourist, you don't have to follow all of like the codes for like how to dress, but I dressed modestly, like I covered my hair and things like that because I didn't want to draw attention to myself or put myself in any sort of situation. So anyway, I had booked a certain amount. I had three nights, right? But two of those nights I had booked like a tour, so I'd be with other people, and it was a tour like into the desert. You got to ride a camel and stuff like that. I was like, oh, it's gonna be lit. So I ended up going, and it was like multiple buses going to the same camp, all different like brands, like so you could buy off of like whatever TripAdvisor or whatever it is. So I bought whatever like guided tour. There's a ton of other people doing other guided tours, but they're all going to like the same camp. I didn't know this. So we stop along the way at this like little town that's like super old, and they're like, oh, they filmed a movie here or whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. So we're going around. There's like a bathroom stop. We're all going to the bathroom, and I meet this guy in line, and I said something dumb like, I like your pants or whatever. So I was like shooting my shot, and he was like, oh, thank you. He had like this British accent. He was super cute, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I ended up getting his number because like that's typical of me, and that's what like lost connection is about. It's like Craigslist misconnections. It's like I cannot miss out on this connection, right? So and we didn't even have service like half the time. So like when we finally got service, we'd be like, hey, did you make it? Whatever. So we're chatting or whatever, and then we get to the camp. We're at the same camp, which I didn't know that was going to happen. So that the song is about like, you meet this person, you're never going to see this person again. And it was gorgeous, like being there in the camp, and it's like you could go up to this sand dune. He and I like sat at the top of this sand dune, was like watching like the shooting stars and stuff like that. It was like this magical experience, but it was also like, it's so sad to have experiences like that because it's like, you know, you're never going to see this person again. So like, how much emotion do you want to put into it? But part of like, being alive is like allowing yourself to like live those experiences, and maybe it's a fault of mine, but I romanticize moments like that. So it was crazy. So we ended up walking down to the bottom of the sand dune, and it's like a cereal bowl where you're laying in the bottom, like a massive cereal bowl where it's sand all around you is the bowl, and the top is just like the stars better than you've ever seen them in your whole life. And I was like, this is crazy. So we had a little moment together, and that's what like the song is about. It's just like the sand is like also like a symbol and a metaphor for like time, right? Because I only have a limited amount of time with you. It's like sand in like an hourglass, and we talk about that in the song too. So yeah, it's definitely, and it's very sexy, you know what I mean? Like the vibe is like sexy, and like, but also in Morocco, it's like they have like their morality codes where I believe you're not allowed to kiss in public. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's a law where, I don't know if it's punishable, but like, they're like, you can't kiss in public. So it's like, I was like hiding away in this little sand dune with this guy I just met and sneaking like a little kiss. I'm like, oh, it's like dangerous, you know what I mean? A little kiss, maybe something else. But anyway, that's not the point. That's that. That's Desert Moon, based on a true story of my escapades.
I figured it was something overseas. I figured a few of these songs that was the last time like I knew like you were doing something overseas.
I was running away from my problems. That's really what it was. Which I reflect on now. It's great. No, and it's great to travel, and I'm glad I had that experience. But like I said, I had just come out of this relationship, and I think part of me, I was like trying to heal or whatever, but I was also very vulnerable. You know what I mean? I did not give myself the proper time to like mourn the relationship and heal and be alone and stuff like that. And instead, I thrust myself into meeting new people, and my heart got kind of like tied into that. Even though I was like, no, I'll be fine. I've been broken. You know what I mean? It's like actually being broken is like the worst time to try to like do this type of thing. Maybe,
that was me last year. So that was no, I know how you feel there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I knew there was an overseas aspect with these songs, like with Desert Moon, definitely. And I'm gonna butcher this, Fiorellino.
That's perfect. You said it perfectly.
I did it. Okay, good. Yeah. I knew that. And then Paris was another one. Fiorellino is it's Little Flower. I looked up. Okay. And I saw you put bits and pieces in other languages in there. I think Fiorellino there was Italian in there, I think. And then Paris was obviously, there was French in there. Do you find it challenging to write lyrics in languages not your first?
Yeah, of course. Definitely. So, but it's great because after I had released this, or right around the time I was about to release it, Rosalia released Lux, which is, you speak Spanish, right?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So she's an artist from Spain. So she primarily makes music in Spanish, but she did this project, which is funny. She's working on it like simultaneously as I was. That's like it had a global vision and she used 13 languages, but listening to it, you can't tell that she used 13 languages because she sneaks them in. And she talked about that process in an interview where she was like, I don't speak all these languages. So what did I do is like, I would write something that kind of made sense to me. I would use dictionary, whatever, my resources. And then I would reach out to a native speaker and be like, hey, does this make sense? And then she would have a native speaker confirm. And that's what I did with the Italian stuff.
Yeah.
And then for the French, it was such a basic sentence that you only really needed to use like Google to figure it out. My French is pretty basic. I do speak Italian fluently. My Spanish is like intermediate. It's pretty shitty. And then I want to learn French and Portuguese as well. So that was like an exercise for me. Like I enjoy being like a student of languages. I enjoyed integrating that into it, especially because there is the theme of, meeting people from other countries and other cultures. And yeah.
I was thinking, I'm like, all right, she's saying something about the Eiffel Tower.
Yes. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
If you make it simple enough, then
Yeah.
I think anybody, even if they don't speak French, can kind of appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
definitely. But yeah, Fiorellino, that one's definitely, that's the most personal. And
Really? Yeah.
to me, it's like the most like telling and vulnerable. And I felt like a lot of people weren't going to like relate to it because I'm like talking about a very specific situation, because it's basically about a long distance relationship, right? But really that whole section from it's Fiorellino, Paris, and then Crying in the Club is about like this one person that I had a, we'll call it like a situationship, I guess.
Yeah.
Because we mostly had an online relationship. We met through the internet while I was traveling abroad, and we never met in real life. We stayed connected. And then I think a huge theme that I talk about, and I'm still exploring in my personal life, is like separating like reality from fantasy. And the problem with internet is that it really allows you to like project your fantasy onto somebody, especially if you only know them from like pictures on their profile, you know what I mean? So like, okay, I've chatted with you, which is like the most superficial thing, because even in real life when you're dating, like those first 3 months, that person's going to show you the best of themselves. You're not going to see like all like the other stuff, right? But then it's even harder to see someone's true self through the internet because they're only showing you the best of themselves, like the very very best. So anyway, I allowed myself, because I was healing, because I wasn't ready for a relationship, but I still wanted to feel something, which is a lot about what the album is about. I allowed myself to like get sucked into this like on and off again, talking to this person thing. And we're actually still cool. He's like a friend of mine, but that's what those 3 songs are about this person. And kind of like putting yourself in a situation where like, you're hurting yourself because you have like this delusional idea about the relationship because it's a projection that you've put onto this person.
Yeah.
Why are you still doing it? And then Crying in the Club is like when you have like absolutely no accountability and you're so overwhelmed with the emotion. It's like, we were supposed to be in love. No one ever said that we were supposed to be in love. You know what I mean? But your emotions are so strong that you're like, it doesn't matter. I'm blaming you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, Crying in the Club, that was when I thought, I said, I don't think negative, well, maybe negativity about love, definitely. On that one, I felt like my personal favorite on the album was Ignore Me.
We didn't even talk about Ignore Me yet. We skipped over it. Okay, cool. Yeah.
No, I was making sure I'm circling back to that one because that was my personal favorite.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about
on the album. Yeah, I wrote it too for this one. I'm like, what are the personal experiences behind these songs, especially that one. That one I felt like had the most like sadness to it, I think.
In a way. And it's kind of like, because I'm talking about unhealthy patterns. I'm being very open about my unhealthy tendencies when it comes to my relationships with people, right?
Yep.
So this particular song, Ignore Me, is discussing why we continue to pursue people who don't want us. You know what I mean? Like, why is that attractive? You know what I mean? So that's something that I answer that. It's like, oh, it's actually rare for me to be rejected because, you have a lot of guys in your DMs or whatever. So this one person who's maybe not responding to my advances or isn't showing interest, oh, he's different. Let me see what's going on, which is like very stupid. But I think a lot of people do it because everybody kind of wants what they can't have. It's like,
Yeah.
I think for some, especially men, they might say it's a challenge, right? To like try to get the person that doesn't want them. But anyway, so that's, I remember I was in Florida and I was listening to beats riding around in my rental car because I was down there for work. And I just love Florida. I write a lot of music. I've written a lot of music down there. I just get inspired when I'm down there. So I'm riding around and I was talking to somebody at the time that I wasn't really romantically interested in, but they ignored me because I had sent them a voice note. They read it and they didn't respond, which is like fine or whatever. But because I was listening to the beat, I love how you ignore me. So I was already in the vibe of like writing a song to a beat. And that's how that came out. And I was like, oh, this is kind of an interesting topic. Let me expand on it more. So I want to be very clear. I don't like when people ignore me. I don't like to be ignored. But I think a lot of people can relate to it, because they might also have that tendency to like pursue someone that's not right for them or not interested in them just because it's like interesting or different. I don't know what it is. Oh, I think there's also like, I think there's a lot of people who would psychoanalyze this and be like, oh, it might be from like trauma. Because I think it is for some people. It's like you maybe had a parent that wasn't always consistent in showing love to you. So I've heard that some people will like, they're good at manufacturing love where there is not love. I think people who are used to doing that tend to do that and project it on people who don't love them. And that's normal. They're like, oh yeah, that's fine. But you don't even think about it because you were not conscious about stuff that happened like in our childhood or whatever. I don't know if that's me necessarily, but yeah, just things to think about.
Yeah, sure. That one hit me a lot.
Do you find that that like, you know, the girls that ignore you or whoever, like that you're more interested or?
No. Now I feel like I really made that a point for like 2026. I feel like everybody's experienced that, you know, been ignored by somebody or whatever. It's like it's happened to everybody. So I really wanted to make the motto for this year, like, choose the people that choose you. You know, don't settle for anything less than what you know that you deserve. Yeah, I think. So yeah, so a lot of stuff has happened like over the year too. So like I think that's why it hit me so much.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's definitely a track where I think in all of these I'm kind of like discussing, like I said, like unhealthy habits and tendencies, and this is one where I'm like talking about something where like you're hurting yourself, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think in a lot of these it's like I'm discussing the issue of my behavior, but I'm not resolving it. Right. And that's what happens like at the end. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but at the end of the album, it's Brand New D, right? And it's like, the cycle continues. You know what I mean? Let's start over with somebody else. Because it starts off with like, Love Me Online is like, hey, let's meet up. I want to get to know you in real life. And then we have like that voice note that's like the invitation. It's like the guy's like, I want to feel your energy. And which is kind of funny because I had already written Love Me Online where I was like, I want to feel your energy. And then this guy says it in the voice note. And I didn't even think about it because I put them back to back and then I listened to it and I was like, oh, they are connected because he's talking about feeling my energy. Right. It's like, okay, I want to get to know this person for real. Yep. And then Detox is the third one where it's like, okay, now I'm in the situation. It's actually not good. And I want to get out, you know, and then there goes like the breakup. And then trying to date, having this weird delusional situationship, and then am I gonna heal? I do a little bit of reflecting, like way before it's very reflective. Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But then Brand New D is like, nope, I'm just gonna do the whole thing again. Which is that a good message for me to be sending? I'm not promoting that in my music. I'm just talking about like what I did. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think a lot of people probably are struggling with repeating the same cycles, especially in their relationships.
That's what I felt too with Brand New D. It's different from the rest of the album because like I said, the album has like, you know, some sadness to it and like mostly that. Brand New D has like, you know, there's no it's not subliminal in it by any means, but but it ends it on it ends the album on a happier note. For
that
sure.
Was important for me.
For sure, yeah. The album's kind of like a cycle. Like you said, I thought of it that way too.
I needed the album to end on a happy note because it was so sad. Yeah, you know what I mean? It had to. It had to have one song that had a glimmer of hope. Yep. Right? Because I'm not pessimistic about love. I want to be clear about that. I'm actually like a lover girl at heart. Yeah. I think I'm just dealing with my own demons and stuff. And so this was kind of just like a historical record of those experiences and the choices that I made and the people that I met along the way and stuff as I was trying to figure it out. you know, especially within the context of like the internet.
Oh, love letters. Yeah. So how do you know, like, when you're making a song, like, hey, it would be really cool if I brought somebody else in on this?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah.
Because now it's a little different. I kind of have more connections and stuff. But when I wrote Love Letters, it actually was like by chance that I was at the studio recording with DJ Jeff. I forget what we were working on. This is like early on in the recording days. So this was like, I don't know, like very much in the beginning, like 2.5 years ago. And I had my session, it ended at a certain time. Then he had somebody else coming in who happened to be E-Money, who's the person featured on that.
Yep.
And so we meet there, we get introduced, and he's like, oh, what are you working on, whatever. And I was like, oh, just recording music, whatever. And he was like, oh, word, do you want to make a song? And I was like, I guess, but I don't have anything prepared, because at that time I was like not familiar with like just coming up with music on the spot. But that's how they all do it, is like they'll go in there, especially Jeff, like he'll start with, because he's really a producer, he makes the beat from scratch, and then he'll start like making melodies and singing or rapping over it, and then all like his people that come through there, they'll do that with him as well, like make these songs on the spot. And it's a really cool creative experience. I hadn't done that before, so and it's also like, I don't know, 1 or 2 in the morning, and I'm like, fuck it, I don't have anywhere to be, let's try it. So we start with this beat and we start writing. He did his thing, and then I just wrote like a hook on it, and that's all we had was like his verse, which comes in first, and then I wrote the hook. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna finish it. Then I went back a different day and I had written my verse, recorded my verse, and then we had like a song. So the day that we met was the day that we wrote Love Letters. We never met before, and we just happened to like write this song.
Cool.
Yeah, so it was very like organic. And it was a cool experience, and I still work with them. So shout out E-Money, shout out DJ Jeff, everyone at Too Lit Studios. They're awesome. And they inspire me a lot to just keep writing and keep doing the process. And it's okay if shit's not perfect. You just got to keep creating, you know?
It's like lightning in a bottle, like kind of scenario, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's interesting. That's interesting how that played out. Yeah.
Yeah, so super lucky. Everything for me is like right place, right time, you know? So I'm very fortunate that I got to link up with, I met a lot of great artists through just being in the studio. So if you hang out in the studio and be around those people, because now I have my own home set up, so it's tempting to just like, I could just do everything at home, but it's still good to be surrounded by other artistic influences.
Not last one, but last one to talk about, way before. A lot of nostalgia here. Yeah. I used to be on MySpace or in somebody's basement.
Yes. So many basements.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you were in my top 8 at one point. And vice versa.
Going way back, yes.
Oh my, yeah, we already aged ourselves, so I was like, yeah, I know what MySpace is.
I mean, this song was for anyone who's like in their 30s and still feeling like they're still out trying to date and stuff, because at this point a lot of time has passed, so people have had time they have a lot of lore by now, right? So if you meet someone at this age, it's like, okay, maybe they've got kids, maybe they all had trauma, and then you have to like re-explain your trauma to someone, so it's kind of a lot. And at the time I was kind of talking to someone, and I was just like frustrated with, I wouldn't say frustrated with, but like I felt like, and this is not true, but I was like, am I too old? You know what I mean? So it's like me kind of reflecting on like my age, which is why I felt it was important to like take people through this little time capsule of like when I was young, you know? But so that people could understand in context, it's like I am this age trying to date in this environment with technology, and this is who's left, is everyone's like me. They've all been through some shit, so they're all kind of broken, you know? It is kind of a pessimistic view, but it's also like has a sense of longing to it and like just wanting to find true love, but maybe you're standing in your own way because you feel like you can't be loved or there's something wrong with you. Yeah.
No, there was a lot mentioned here about, you know, literally way before. I mean, I know you mentioned lyrics to about your dad in here. I wrote this down. I don't remember the context of it. I wrote right place, wrong time. I think. Okay.
That's what the song is about. Yeah. Or like, so it's the right person or whatever. So you meet somebody and you're like, damn, like I wish I had met you before all this other crazy stuff happened in my life.
That's why I wrote. My last relationship I was in, it literally was the right place, but it was at the wrong time. She had a lot that she had to deal with. She was with somebody for 15
Oh,
years
wow.
before that, and I think she dived in too fast. And she realized it early on that I mean, it didn't change the suckage of it, but that's why I wrote that down. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that, especially the older that you get. I
yeah,
think when you meet your high school sweetheart, everything is like right in the world because you're like, in Taoism, they say the uncarved block or be like the babe, right? It's that which hasn't been like cut into and shaped yet. So as
yeah,
we go through the world, we get, I think saying cut into is kind of grotesque, but like we get carved and shaped and we become less flexible and less malleable.
yeah,
And we may even feel like we have less opportunity or potential because we've been whittled down. But that's not necessarily true. And I think that's what I had to tell myself after writing this. So a lot of these songs, like me just like feeling the feelings. Again, I don't have a solution for all these emotions. It's just like me sharing them with people because I think a lot of people also
yeah,
experience them.
yeah. No, for sure. I took away a lot from this. So it was cool to find out how you put it together and everything like that. No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the vibe of it. And one thing from discovering your music, but one thing I've also always thought when knowing you is that you've, even well before you were doing that, you were doing your thing here, like you've been passionate and you've been very confident about the work that you've done, whether it's been music or what have you. Do you feel like you convey that, like with the music that you make?
That is a good question. I
Yeah,
think just being able to put yourself out there is a show of confidence in a certain way.
yeah,
I don't always feel that way because I am hard on myself.
yeah.
And I just posted on Instagram yesterday, embrace cringe. And that was more of a note to myself, right? That was like my
Hmm.
mantra for the day is like, be your true self, no matter how embarrassing it might be, because you owe it to yourself as an artist to like share your true self with the world. And at
Yeah.
least that's what I'm trying to do now. But someone had messaged me back and they were like, you could never be cringe. Don't worry. Nothing I've ever seen of yours is cringe. And that's great. I'm glad that other people interpret how I'm moving as confident or, sure of myself. That's good. But to answer your question, do I think I convey that? I don't know. Maybe I guess so based on people's responses, but how I feel inside, like I'm always going to be very like, who said it? I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to misattribute that quote, but like it's true. Like I'm very sensitive because it's all me. The only real thing I wanted to talk about that I forgot to talk about was
Yeah.
because I've been reading a little bit about Buddhism. I studied Buddhism a long time ago. My grandmother was a Buddhist from Thailand. So I have this old book about, like, it's like an introduction to Buddhism. So I picked it up and it talks about how all life is suffering and that desire basically is what keeps you getting reincarnated, right? So to reach nirvana, you want to like get rid of desire, which makes sense. Like if you are gracious, if you have gratitude and you're grateful for the things in your life, you're going to be happier. So I think what's funny about the album is me constantly yearning and desiring, whether, like, think about ignore me, desiring somebody that doesn't want me,
Yeah.
or from the middle of the album, like Fiorellino and Paris and Crying in the Club, like this person who, like, I'm desiring them because I'm romanticizing a relationship that's not based in reality. It's based on the internet fantasy thing. Oh my God, where was I going with this? I was doing so well.
Buddhism.
Buddhism.
Yep.
Yeah, Buddhism. So it's like, what is life? Okay, life is suffering. And if I want to not get reincarnated again, according to some sects of Buddhism, that I need to stop desiring and just
Yeah.
I'll be fully content. But I had a conversation with somebody recently, and I was like, why is it that we keep doing these things that are not good for us and we know cause pain? And it's because life is suffering and
Mm-hmm.
desire is suffering. And that's what makes us feel alive and human. So sometimes we'll embrace things that hurt us because it makes us feel alive. You know, it's like, do I want to be at peace when my whole life I've like associated love with pain?
Yeah.
Am I always going to throw myself in cycles where love is pain because to me that they're associated, you know? So that's something to think about as well. And as I'm evolving past this album, I'm like trying to, you know, determine like what are my views on love and relationships now? Because since I've dropped this, like since I wrote a lot of these songs too, my whole life has really changed. I'm not as alone anymore. I have a huge community behind me. I'm very grateful that my music got out the way that it did, and it connected me with a lot of people who, you know, they don't just, and that was the other thing too, is like, I wasn't really putting myself out as an artist. People knew me on the internet as like, maybe they saw me pole dancing. So I was getting different types of attention that wasn't really wanted. Now I'm getting attention from like my musical peers, and it's like respectful attention instead of just like thirsty attention. And that's changed the way I view myself as well, unfortunately, because we shouldn't need external confirmation or validation to feel good about ourselves. But I will say that by sharing my music and having other musicians that I look up to, like people that are like my inspirations, be like, hey, you're doing a good job, and like keep going, like it feels really, really good and fulfilling. And now, like, I think when I go to write more R&B stuff, maybe it won't have that same like marked melancholy that you mentioned. Like, but with everything going on in the world right now, I think that we all feel a little bit down, right? Regardless. So who knows what the future brings for future projects.
Well, to add to that, I think what I've been really trying to tell myself to and just try to remember is that I feel like there's polarity to everything. I think like last year I was telling you was like off camera, like was a tough year and all, but I also had one of the best days of my life last year too. So like just to add to what you were saying there, I always think there's two ends of everything. You could have this like, you know, this shitstorm of all this sadness and darkness and all that, but the other side too, like, you know, there's a lot of good. There's a lot of good in the world. You know, you can have those really good days along with those tougher days.
Right. And I think embracing, not to interrupt you, I think embracing the emotion, whether negative or positive, talking about it, creating art about it, that's gonna kind of set you free too. And then sharing it with people, that was the like fruit of my labor. So it made it all worth it to be able to go through this process, however painful it was, however self-inflicted it was, some of the like suffering that I caused myself, to have this project that I can share with people. That's the good that came out of it. So there was a lot of suffering that came along the way through my interactions with people and through me trying to like dive into myself and figure out what's going on with me. So and I'm still working on it, and it's difficult, but to have it and share it with people is like healing.
That got deep there towards the
No, that's what's all
like
about.
it though. Yeah, exactly.
I have we did a remix for Brand New D.
Nice.
It's remixed by Feral G. The music video just dropped. It's very funny, which after all of this like very serious talk, I think that would be good for people to go check it out, because we wanted to embrace a little bit of lightness. So that's a fun one. It's very, very dancey too. So.
Yeah, you have a new mix of Brand New D. You have a show coming up.
I do
as we are recording this.
Yes, so on the 31st with Terminology and DJ Lucas in Lowell, Massachusetts at Sahel Lounge on the 31st. Yes. Super excited.
Yeah, I'm sure you have copies of the CD.
I will. I
still
have
physical media supremacy.
Can we grab this and show them?
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks. Shout out to my friend Cold Coda who gave this to me for Christmas. He bought an extra CD, so he bought one for himself, and then he bought one for this, and then now I have a little display. So this is the fancy one. Yeah, but I do still have like 50 copies left, and I ship them out if anybody wants them.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, this is cool.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yay.
We appreciate the hell out of this. You know, this is the first for us, like I said, 1 for 1.
Yeah.
This was awesome. You know, everybody watching, please listen to Lost Connections. Please follow
Lost Connection.
Nel And remember to give the channel a like and subscribe if you like more content like this. Also, please comment below, like, what you liked about this interview, what you like about Nel, and everything. Yeah, we got some more conversations, more reviews in the pipeline, so stay tuned.